Good morning, everyone. I am your host, Tommy D. Let me go ahead and bring on my co-host here, Mr. Hollywood Hayward. How are you doing
How's
this morning,
everybody
sir?
doing this morning?
I'm crunk. This is episode 1 of the Rewind 2.0 wrestling podcast. We're going to cover Crown Jewel today. Yeah, I know. Some people might not be too excited about that, but believe it or not, it was actually a decent pay-per-view. There's not a lot of there is probably not one Crown Jewel I've ever watched I've come away from saying that about. Most of them was full of bullshit matches in return of old-timers who shouldn't have been there and just really stunk it up. Not most of the time. You had the flop of Goldberg and Undertaker, which was a horrible ass match there. Then you had the distortions of Brock Lesnar. He would show up at Crown Jewel and basically beat someone in 5 seconds or so. So
right, like when he took down Coffee in 5 seconds.
Yeah. They're usually very, and also let me point out, most of the Crown Jewel crowds are very dull most of the time. This one, for some reason, happened to be into it. They was actually pretty decent of a crowd, so it was actually kind of crunk. We won't waste no time. Before we go any further, let me take a second and say this is the new. We are also going to rebrand. This is news that we did not say yesterday for on the show yesterday of the promo show we had yesterday, the pay-per-view. There was a lot of news that went around. One of the pieces of news that we did not tell anyone was we are going to completely rebrand our YouTube page. Our YouTube page would now hold everything from wrestling podcast to movie podcast to everything, and it's going to completely be branded as the Warriors Empire, as the logo you've seen up there before the beginning of the intro. So I think everybody kind of knows where that kind of goes. The tag team of TDC and Mr. Patrick Shane, Chris Champion. We're known as the Hooded Warriors. We went out maybe a little bit over a year ago on our own against the back of everybody else, went against the grain, and everyone told us we would never succeed in shit. And now here we are. We have 4 pages who are all thriving, 4 groups who are all thriving. We have everything from podcast to movie trivia to all kinds of shit going on. So I would say to the ones who thought that we weren't never going to make it, we have an empire now. So,
right.
I mean,
that's normally how it is, though. I found in my experience when people say you're not going to make it, you tend to outdo. It's the biggest motivation. You know what I'm saying?
I always kind of say like this: anyone can kind of have something if they work their ass off for it. If you work your ass off for it, eventually you'll start getting where you want to get with something. So, it wasn't easy. We went through hundreds of shady ass friends we thought we had in this kind of thing, and hundreds of shady ass groups we thought we could trust. And after we eliminate all that, we finally got down to the bare bones where we think we need to be with the right people, with the right groups, with the right kind of view on things. So I think we're finally starting to nail it. So let's see, take a couple of comments over here. Mr. Damas says, Mr. Damas, yo, he says. All right, we'll go ahead and dive into this Crown Royal thing. Go ahead and talk about the first match up here. We had the Usos versus the Hurt Business, which was the kickoff match.
Right.
Shocking.
Shocking that they would put that on the kickoff match. But for me, if I can, it was kind of weird for the first time in about a year to hear the Usos get cheered the way they got cheered in Saudi Arabia.
Some of them people probably don't even know who the hell they are. They probably just thought they were Saudis. I'll be honest with you. I mean, like that's the thing about like the Saudi people over there. They're so behind the times that they ask for wrestlers that are dead.
Right.
They do that all the time. They're like they want wrestlers that have died to show up and work the pay-per-views over there because they're not really all of them are not up to date and they're watching old ass tapes and old ass shows and stuff. So
right. I heard this time they asked for AEW wrestlers as well.
Oh, did they?
Probably so. Yeah.
I noticed one. I seen the clip. I seen the picture of the one guy in the audience who had the CM Punk shirt on it.
Right.
At the WWE show. I just think that's hilarious.
But the Usos and the Hurt Business put on a good match. It might have been predictable. I mean, I feel like the Hurt Business really needed to come out of that with a win, but of course it wasn't going to happen there. You know what I mean? So
the thing about it is that the Hurt Business is one of those things. It was one of those golden eggs that WWE had. They broke them up. Now they're trying to slap them back together because they're trying to tape up all the screw ups they made. And
right.
You're not going to convince me now. It's too late now. You done screwed it up. You should have left it the way it was, which what we all wanted, what they should have just did to begin with, and we wouldn't even be in the situation we probably would be in with WWE. They should have gave us what we wanted, which was the Hurt Business versus Undisputed Era, which is exactly what they should have did, but they never pulled the trigger on it. So, you break them up, and then you realize what happened. The whole point
you can't.
Together was you had nothing for Sheldon, you had nothing for MVP, you had nothing for
Cedric.
You had nothing for him, and Bobby was doing fair par on that. That's why you put them all together, because you had nothing for them. Then you broke them up,
and they literally caught lightning in a bottle with the Hurt Business. But the problem with WWE is once we see something, they think once we see something that we'll unsee it. Now that I've seen Cedric and Shelton go at each other, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't unsee that. Like, all of a sudden we're buddies again. It's like
which we always figured that would be the two that would break it up anyway, because he didn't Sheldon didn't trust him when he came in,
right?
So I figured that's how they would eventually play it to break them up. But yeah, once you done did it, you can't just slap them back. It's too soon, especially this soon. This ain't 4 or 5 years down the road like DX or something.
Right.
This is literally months down the road after you broke them up. So
and then Bobby's suffering from MVP being out from the surgery.
Yep.
So
yeah, because Bobby's a monster in the ring, but the dude can't talk.
No, and he's always been most successful with MVP by his side, even in Impact. He was the most successful with MVP by his side.
It was like Hollywood said, it was a good match, but of course the Usos defeat the Hurt Business, which is probably how it should have went, considering the way they told the story with the Hurt Business. Next up, you had Edge, who defeated Seth Rollins in a Hell in a Cell match with Seth's own curb stomp.
Yeah, to me, I'm a big Edge mark. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm a huge Edge fan. So, like, I marked out when he came back. And I honestly think this was the match of the night. And it had a lot of firsts in it, too. Because you had a female referee a Hell in a Cell for the first time ever. And it was the first female to referee a match in Saudi Arabia. So, but she refereed the whole trilogy of Edge versus Seth Rollins. So that was Edge that wanted her to ref the last match. So I thought that was pretty cool.
You agree with Edge going over here?
I do. Actually, I do because I think Edge has, if you look at what's happened since he came back, I mean, I know he won the Royal Rumble from spot 1, but that, they added Daniel Bryan to his world title match. And if you look, Edge says that was not supposed to be the case when he won the Royal Rumble. They ended up doing that later. And I think Edge has taken a lot of losses since he's come back. So
very, very true. Between him being hurt and being out and all kinds of shit. I have no problem with it. I mean, just because the simple fact that, that's kind of how it's supposed to go. Seth being the heel, he's supposed to poke the bear. Then he finally gets the rated R superstar, the bad motherfucker Edge, who
right.
We all remember who he was. So he ends up killing Seth in the Hell in a Cell. So,
but I gotta say, the minute Seth went to his house before this and like casually ate an apple or an orange or whatever it was and casually cut on his fireplace, I have to say I kind of feel like Edge was going to go over here. But I also, as big of an Edge fan as I am, I want to point out that was the ugliest curb stomp I've ever seen in my entire life.
Edge needed to win here, or else there was no point in coming. But I agree. There's no point in just bringing. I know that there's this theory I think some people have with older guys that come back that they're only supposed to come back to put over younger talent, and I don't always think that's necessarily true. I mean,
no.
In some cases, it really depends on how the story flow is going and where the stories anticipating and building up. Sometimes you need the older guy, the older veteran, to go over and be the face for a little while, and then him gradually start to slip downhill a little bit.
Right, and the thing about Edge too is you got to remember we missed 10 to 12 years of what could have been great wrestling from Edge because of his early retirement. I mean, to me, it's a miracle the man is in the ring. So I want him to get some wins. You know what I mean?
For real. Let's see. Next up, you had the Mustafa Ali match against Mentor. who won over Mustafa.
Right.
He is still undefeated over there, of course. They're not going to have him lose in Saudi Arabia.
No, he's the
They'll have
hometown
Bret
hero.
fucking Hart lose to Shawn Michaels in Montreal, but they will
Right.
not have him lose in Saudi Arabia.
No, there's too much money on the line, man. So, but I got to give some props to Mustafa. He all of his earnings from going over there, the extra earnings, he donated to charity. I thought that was pretty stand up of him. So that actually gave me some doubt on who might win that match, because that's a big deal.
Yeah.
But in the end it was Mansoor, and I'd rather see those guys as a tag team than against each other personally, but that's just me.
Yeah, Mustafa is just, they've wasted him so fucking much, man. It's
They
pathetic how much
did.
they've wasted him.
Yeah, he had so many. They gave him that great. He was going to be the hacker. Then they gave him what could have been a great faction, but they totally
The
had
hacker
no
gimmick was
for
going
it.
to work. Telling
Yeah.
you, people were excited about the hacker gimmick. Just because the simple fact that it has been the last gimmick for forever that they hyped up for a long minute, and you
Right.
didn't know who it may or may not be. Of course, everybody was saying, "Oh, CM Punk and CM Punk." I remember when it was going on. It was Punk, but hell, every time someone farted in the wind in WWE, someone swore it was CM Punk coming back. So,
Right.
I think it could have worked. And then they turn around and they stick him with Retribution, which was just,
which was supposed to go along with the hacker gimmick, they said, but it just didn't.
It was just it like they said. I think Retribution was one of those things. It was just, as they've pointed out before. I think even Jim Cornette pointed it out. It might not have been him. It might have been someone else I was listening to, about how that might have worked if it would have happened when fans were there. If the fans would have been there, it might have worked a whole lot better. Then not having the fans there and them coming in and storming the ring and destroying the ring and all this kind of shit, it was kind of really lackluster because it was completely quiet. When they did this shit, it was just like, it was really odd. It didn't come off very cool at all. So then they poor people. I mean, they gave them names like Mason, T-Bar, and
yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. I did read something that said that from the time that started, they had no direction of where it was going to go. Because when I first saw it, I was like, this could be cool. This is like people invading. But I think what that needed was somebody bigger. And this is nothing against Mustafa Ali, but I think it needed somebody bigger than Mustafa Ali to turncoat on WWE.
Right.
And I think we could have been looking at maybe the next NWO type group. Imagine if the leader was Miz or Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
I mean, you might disagree. I don't know, but
I mean, it might work. It might work. The thing with WWE Creative is they have a problem of not knowing where the hell they're going with any story they're telling.
Right.
That's the problem. They don't look in for the long haul no more. They don't build 4, 5, 6, 7 year storylines hardly anymore. It's weeks at a time storylines, and
right.
And it's like they start something, and it's literally, as I said before, they always say that some of it's not true about Vince being bored with stuff and just shoving it out the door, but it's almost what it looks like. It's like you got a new toy and you're excited to play with it for the first week or so, and then it's like you get bored and it gets shoved further and further in the back of your closet until you forget about the shit. And that's exactly how they treat their superstars. Is that way. It's like they get a new thing and it's all this big pop, and then the next thing you know, it's like he gets bored with them. Okay, well, let me change this about him. Okay, well, let me change this about him. Okay, there's nothing else I want to change. Well, damn, I screwed him up. Throw him away. Give me another one. I mean, it's almost exactly what he's doing, So
perfect example would be Karrion Kross and Keith Lee right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, how the thing that kills me the most is how the hell the whole problem in the business is getting people over.
Right.
How do you take someone like Karrion Kross or Keith Lee, who's already fucking over, or Bianca Belair, and destroy them? I can't wrap my mind around that. You're fixing what ain't broke.
But the problem is he's fixing what he didn't build.
Right. Oh, I gotta have my hands on it in some kind of way, or I can't take complete credit for it in some kind of way. Well, hell, everything he puts his hands on it here lately has been a failure.
Yes.
So
yeah.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. We come back, we'll continue to sit down and talk about Crown Jewel 2021.
To all the revolutionaries and pariahs out there, we have this special announcement for you. Do you wish to hold gold in the revolution in WGP? Are you afraid that your talents aren't good enough? Then, my friends, this offer is for you. Then order yourself the official WGP and Revolution replicas. You can have it all, from the Outbreak Championship, the Havoc Championship, the Tag Team Championships that I'm holding on my shoulder, and not only the Revolution, but also WGP Championship. But ladies and gentlemen, if an official replica title does not tickle your fancy, get your minis. So if you want to be like me and all the other champions out there, join the gold standard today by calling Patrick Shane.
It is the fun of trivia and the excitement of a tag team wrestling match, and it is coming soon. From the open, today's lockup category is WWE Champions. To the comeback, Hot Tag! Hot Tag, a 400-point swing hangs in the balance, with questions so easy you'll think that everybody can answer them. Making the tag to his partner for double points. And questions so hard, you'll think that nobody can answer them. Putting the heat on the other team, the question goes to you. Join RYK as we present you Hot Tag Wrestling Trivia Challenge. Hot Tag Wrestling Trivia Challenge is now casting teams of 3 to play in the game. Join up over at Revolution and Wrestling Geeks and Pariahs for eligibility and information.
See here. Let me get back on the right thing. There we go. Yes, that is Mr. RYK with the Hot Tag Wrestling. That is a very kick-ass show. If you have not watched the first episode of it, you can go catch it on our YouTube page. Also, the minis and the replicas. Let me flip back over here. Yes, I know, people. But this is part of the business. We have to do commercials. You have to advertise. That's how we function, man. You can buy these replicas. All you gotta do is get with Mr. Patrick Shane. Price may vary, just depending on what you might want done to it. You can have any one of these done by him. He can also get you other titles as well, not just these. Also, in the minis, we need to sell them ASAP. They are $50 a piece. All the proceeds that comes from this does not go in the pockets of management. This money goes towards our StreamYard or purchasing other titles for the eFed. All right, Mr. Hollywood, let's go ahead and continue. See where we was. Oh, here we are. We're at the WWE Raw Tag Team titles. Now, I will say this would normally be some shit that I would not give a damn about. I would not care what's going on with the tag division in any kind of way in WWE, which I normally don't, and really don't now. But just because this match was entertaining, you had RK Bro taking on AJ Styles and Omos, which was awesome. I'm sorry. I like RK Bro and I like AJ and Omos together. It works. I don't care what
it seems like WWE is something I used to hate, where they would put random superstars together. Now they're doing it, but it's working. It's crazy. Like, who would have thought Matt Riddle and Randy Orton? And now they got this big brother, little brother relationship. And Matt Riddle came out and rode a camel to the ring. That is, you had me at on Camelback. You know what I'm saying?
Let's see. Mr. Eli says, what's good, guys? WWE just dropped the 2022 pay-per-view schedule, SummerSlam at Nissan Stadium
in Tennessee.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. And he says right here also, the Raw Tag Team rematch is tonight. I don't see RK Bro losing them.
No, I really think that this is leading to Omos turning against AJ. Because, it's AJ taking the loss.
I honestly thought am surprised it's went on as long as it has.
Yes. Yeah, I think the reason they haven't broke them up yet is because, from what I understand, AJ is helping him a lot behind the scenes, like a whole lot, because he wasn't quite there yet. But man, they're building this guy up, and I think he's going to be a big star as long as they book it right. So,
you know who helped train him?
Huh?
You know who helped train him?
Who's that?
Almost.
Kevin Nash.
Yeah, Kevin Nash.
And you know what's crazy? Does this story not remind you of the Kevin Nash or Diesel Shawn Michaels situation from way back then?
They
And that's the
literally could
parallel I
build
draw
this
there.
story the exact same until the same, and they do that
Right.
all the time. They do it all the time.
Right.
So I wouldn't mind saying I think those two could pull it off.
Yeah, I do
I
too.
mean-
but I will say it's a little bit harder to believe AJ is going to be able to hurt Amos, where we knew Shawn Michaels had a chance against these.
Well, especially when you got like monsters hitting this big motherfucker and him just looking at him. You know, it's just. I remember when they was doing that stupid underground shit, because that was the
Right,
first
and he
time
was
I
the
seen
security
him.
guard.
Yeah, he was a security guard, and I remember when they cut away and they cut up to him. I said, "Oh boy." I forgot who I was watching with. They said, "What?" I said, "Vince is going to love him."
Yeah, that and the guy with Apollo were both in the underground.
Yep. I remember him and it was him and Braun Strowman who had a match, wasn't it?
Right.
I remember that shit. God, that was so stupid. God, that was so stupid. God, they was reaching in, man.
Fun fact: Amos was actually a ninja for a little while too.
Yeah, with yeah.
Akira Tozawa.
Thank
He's one
God.
of the ninjas.
I bet you he kisses AJ on the head every morning and says, "Thank you for saving me from that shit."
Because apparently they've gotten very close. You know what I'm saying? So-
Yeah.
But that that match was great, and it ended the way it needed to, with AJ going for the phenomenal forearm and Randy Orton hitting that RKO out of nowhere. And then what I think this is the story that was told in that match. Randy Orton could have took the pin right there, but for the first time, he tags in Matt and lets Matt get the win. You know what I'm saying? So
Right. You know, and this is, of course, one of those tag teams that I didn't think was going, because you figured it was just going to be the same old formula. They team Randy up with some random guy. He's annoying. Randy gets tired of it. Randy flips on him. But so far, it's working. So, and I think Randy really needs this, and I mean that from a standpoint of I've been so bored of Randy Orton for years. And it's not even because Randy Orton's not extraordinary. Don't get me wrong. Randy Orton's an athlete freak. He is great inside the ring. He has a kick-ass character. But when you've been watching him as long as I feel like I have been watching the exact same Randy Orton doing the exact same thing.
This is getting to show a little bit of Randy Orton's comedy side.
Right. And he's funny. He can be funny.
Oh yeah. Like when he tells Matt Riddle to but you know, you've also, this is one thing they didn't abandon, like we talked about. You're actually getting to see where Randy Orton is starting to become protective over Matt Riddle and really like friendly with him. And I'm just waiting for them to both come down on scooters. When that happens, look for the breakup soon after that.
Yeah, for real. You could, I swear, WWE, you want to surprise me? Have Riddle flip.
Oh, yeah, that would be the better way to
have Riddle flip heel and be the one that flips on Randy. Let Randy open his heart up to this kid, and this kid be the one to put the nail in his heart. That would just be awesome as hell. And then you could actually drop the super stoner gimmick and all that shit and have Riddle go completely serious where he's just a badass. So,
right, because he learned it all from Randy.
Right. As you said, the champions do go over here. They defeated AJ and them, but it's been a great. It's one of the very few stories that WWE actually has going on. I like what's going on. Next up, you have the Queen's Crown Tournament. Let me just say, I love Zelina Vega. I have no problem with Doudrop. Everyone knows me, that knows that I follow wrestling, knows I'm a huge woman advocate when it comes to women being taken seriously in the ring and being pushed and being treated equally as men. But this shit was a waste of time. It means nothing. Nothing.
I think I read all the matches took 19 minutes.
Yeah.
Female tournament.
Yeah. They were like literally giving these girls 2 minutes a piece on SmackDown and shit like that. Like, come on, man.
And can we both agree that Shayna probably should have been the one to get to the finals?
Yep.
And win the tournament.
Let me tell you what this was. This was a reach because of AEW's Owen Hart thing that's got coming up. The simple fact that Zelina Vega's there, and this is how they look at it. They look at Zelina Vega as those people over there are fans of Zelina Vega. So let's let Zelina win it.
Right.
because her husband's badass. So then we'll maybe grab a few of those fans back over here. But it's done been forced push because it wasn't just long ago you was burying her. You brought her back and you're burying her. Now she's the winner of the tournament. Like, see, that's the shit I'm talking about. As dude said here, right here in this comment, it's like they think we forget the past. It's insulting. It's my problem with the WWE.
Right.
They insult my intelligence too much.
and you know, they kind of screwed those guys because the minute she signed back with them, and I know there was probably they didn't want a lawsuit. I believe she was going to sue them over the Twitch stuff. And they didn't want a lawsuit, so they bring her back and then they release her husband. I mean, how shitty is that?
I mean, he was telling the story. He's like, I just looked at my phone and just started laughing.
Yeah. Like, it was like a week after she signed back with them.
Yeah.
She hadn't debuted back yet. And they release him. And I'm like, wow, that is low. And then, like, on the, what was it, the 9/11 show, she wanted to come out because of her dad and all that. And she had a special outfit for it. And they cut her match. And, like, so now she wins this tournament. And I'm going to tell you, I have no problem with Zelina Vega either. But here's the thing. You booked Doudrop incredibly well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And now, okay, so once Doudrop beats Shayna, you're going into it going, well, Doudrop's got to win this tournament.
And
you
that
know
was
what I mean?
that was the whole part of having Doudrop flip on Eva.
Right.
What's that? You're going to probably give her the push because that's how they usually do it. They put him with some asshole, and then the face ends up coming out of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and then you have her get in the tournament just to lose to Zelina Vega, who you just having on a losing streak. So that's the shit I'm talking about with you, WWE. You don't make no damn sense. But Doudrop,
I mean, she couldn't even beat Liv Morgan a couple of weeks ago.
right? And why the hell is? And please stop burying Liv Morgan.
Oh, I agree totally. When they
Jesus,
I'm like, why?
Like, I don't understand that shit at all. Next up, you had Goldberg defeats Bobby Lashley in the no holds bar match. This is hot fucking trash.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be if this was the 1990s.
But it's not the 1990s.
Now, let's look at the positives on this, I think.
Okay.
One thing we learned
I got one positive.
Well, let's see.
He didn't knock himself the fuck out. And his old ass was somehow able to go all this time.
And I'll tell you how he was. That leads into my one positive. Bobby Lashley proved what The Undertaker actually couldn't prove a couple of years ago. He can carry a match for somebody. He carried Goldberg through that match if you really look at it.
And let's make this perfectly clear how this match ended. This match ended with a spear off the side of the ramp.
Right.
The 7-foot fall into the table. Not 15, Michael Cole. Listen to me closely. There's no way that it was a 15, almost 20-foot fall.
Right. No.
Literally, if Goldberg stood up, the ramp is just above his head.
Right. Yeah.
Onto a very soft, double-tabled, clothed bullshit. And, of course, that was the end of the match. I mean, it was not – it was – I guess in this generation, it was the better Goldberg match I've seen, but it was something I definitely could have went without.
Yeah, and how bad? I mean, I know we talked privately about Bobby Lashley, or we talked earlier about Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley now has taken like 3 big losses in a row after you built that man up for a year.
That's how they do. Look how they do Drew.
Yeah. And
they made him a monster and then turned around and started burying him. I mean, I was over Drew too, but I mean, you made him a monster and then you started burying him just like instantly. As soon as he loses the title, he just instantly starts getting buried. He just starts losing to everybody.
Right. And to me, it does. I mean, I know that Goldberg need to get revenge for his son, getting attacked. But here's the thing, man. If you have Bobby go over in that match after he did that to his son, I would have written it because his son was in Saudi Arabia. Goldberg brought his son. I would have had him get in his son's face and just go off on him after beating his dad.
It was. I was extremely impressed. I guess you could say from that point that he lasted that long because it was extremely hot. You could tell that in Brock Lesnar's match how hot it was. Brock was fucking pouring buckets.
Brock was worn out after 5 minutes, man.
Yes, he was beat, man. You could tell. let's see. Next up, you had the King of the Ring tournament. This one I'm not going to shit on, and I'm not going to shit on it for the simple fact that I feel like Xavier Woods should have been the standout single star of New Day a while back. They never do nothing with Xavier except for keep him in tag team, being a tag team follower in a way. That's what they've always done with him. He defeats Finn Balor. I hate this Finn Balor. I don't like the Finn Balor that we have, that we get on SmackDown and Raw. We need the Finn Balor from NXT.
We do. And
I hate that. I hate that they make him so bubblegum. I mean,
well,
bubblegum.
I'm a huge Balor fan, but I'm like you. I don't like what they're doing with him now. And I think what they should have done, because I was surprised that the WWE actually gave the fans what they wanted and let Xavier get that King of the Ring. But they did. So now why don't we use that as a good opportunity? They're going to be on separate brands anyway. You should have just had Finn Balor beat the hell out of Xavier after.
Yeah.
Not the match, but after he Xavier beat him. I didn't see the finish of that match. I had to go pick up my kids.
It wasn't a bad match at all. It's hard for me to like Finn right now.
They did him so dirty with that demon thing against Roman. I mean, in my opinion.
I roll every time they bring up that damn demon thing. All these fans like, I want the Demon King. I'm like, why to watch him lose? He's not beating Roman.
Right.
It would make zero sense to have Roman smash everybody the way he's been smashing them, and Finn Balor came in and beat Roman Reigns. Come on.
Right.
That shit ain't gonna happen. That is not believable at all. Not one whatsoever.
No, but I can see Finn, if they do it right, getting a run on Raw with the title.
Yeah.
Eventually.
You could do that also.
Keep in mind, if Finn Balor never separates his shoulder the first night he won the Universal title, we might be talking about a whole different timeline in WWE right now.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how shit like that would have played out. You know, what would have happened after that? But it's one of those things. It's like almost if Kurt Cobain didn't blow his brains out type thing. You know, it's
definitely.
You never know. So. Let's see. We got 3 big matches left. Before we jump into those matches, we're going to take another quick commercial break, and we will be back.
Let me be serious for a second. I do like to clown around a lot, but I don't clown around when it comes to my toilet paper. And those other Charmin bears are full of crap. As a matter of fact, the only thing that Charmin toilet paper has in common with me is it doesn't take crap off no one. So if you want a heavy-duty toilet paper that can take care of those oily stews or those big stumps is what I like to call it. You want to get Grumpy Grizzly Bear toilet paper. Grizzly. Oh yeah, it can take care of the biggest dumps. Trust me on this.
Just remember, if you gotta poop, use Grizzly toilet paper. It's the best toilet paper of them all. It's better than Charmin. It's the best thing around. It's Grizzly toilet paper.
Your winner! Your winner! Your winner! It's every promo fan's favorite saying, and now you too can start your day as a winner with the official RYK coffee mug. The RYK Character Coffee Mug is now available and the perfect addition to your dinnerware. Whether it's a cup of hot joe, a nice microwave mug muffin, or even just holding pencils at your desk, you'll want the RYK Coffee Mug. These 9-ounce mugs will be shipping soon and quantities will be limited. They are available for the shipped price of $10 each, 2 for $15 or 5 for $30. Your winner, you.
Make sure that you join the red carpet treatment tomorrow. We, your host, Mr. Hollywood Haywood, as he sits down with the contestants of the promo leagues after this pay-per-view. There's a lot of mix-ups going on after this pay-per-view that happened Sunday. If you have not seen it, go back and look on the page or look at our YouTube page and check it out. It was a kick-ass pay-per-view.
I'm excited. I'm excited because a guy that I'm a big fan of, Tonstradamus. It's kind of like Nostradamus, you know? I want to sit down and really, really delve into what makes Tonstradamus tick. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of him, there he is saying, nice job, guys. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Glad you're enjoying the show. Let's go ahead and dive into these last 3 matches and wrap this thing on up. Let's see here. Next up, you had the WWE title on the line. Big E, the champion, against Drew McIntyre.
To me, this was a waste of 3 weeks.
I mean, we knew he was going to win this.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they announced Drew McIntyre was going to SmackDown, and I don't think they're going to take the belt off Big E anytime soon, you know? So to me, it was a big waste, but they did put on a solid match still.
Right. I think it was still a decent match. I love the kind of thumbs up from Drew at the end. I kind of like the little break of character sometimes every once in a while with the kick-ass match. Thanks, buddy, kind of
right.
thing. So, but as we said earlier, I'd have been really disappointed if Drew would have took the belt off him here. I'd have been really mad because I'm kind of over Drew. Drew kind of had his little run, and it was boring.
And it's a shame. You know? It's a shame Drew had his run when there was no crowds.
Yeah, that's what killed it, I think, honestly. I mean, it was just boring. That's what killed it, I think. It was just boring.
Right. And I mean, I'd like to see what he could do in front of crowds, but, you know, you're running into the same problem with Drew that you ran into with Roman before. You know, I think Drew's a better heel. I really do.
Monster heel, in my opinion.
Yeah. But the problem is Vince is looking for his next Cena or his next Hogan. And I don't think you're going to have that again, you know, not because look, the world likes these anti-hero characters right now and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, it's very hard for a face to get over, in my opinion, right now.
Yeah.
And as we was talking earlier in the chat room, I think, matter of fact, Domus and I believe it was Chaos and him and a few others were talking, you know, earlier, you know. I didn't listen to all the voice clips, of course, but there's 1,000 of them.
There's a lot of them. Yeah.
But I kind of got the gist of what they were talking about, which is how hard it is for faces to get over now. And it is. And as I had said in there, WWE don't have a whole lot of true faces anymore. If you ask me, or in wrestling, period. I mean, it's
right.
in pro wrestling, period. But I always love to point out the ones that no one ever looks at, which is like Dominic Mysterio.
Right.
100% blue face chip. You know what I mean? If you don't never need to turn him heel or touch him in any kind of way. You need to let him be that clean face golden boy for as much as he can of his career, because that's kind of who his daddy is. So then you turn around.
I think they're going to turn him against his
daddy. I think they are too. I mean, that's just WWE. That's just what they do. I mean, I guess it would still be entertaining, but I'd love to have at least one on the roster. You know what I mean?
Right.
At least one or two.
The New Day, but I know they started as heels.
Yeah, we've seen Kofi as a heel, we've seen Xavier as a heel, we've seen Big E as a heel. So that's not nothing breaking no kind of new ground. And I always pointed out, you know, Humberto, you know, I was like, Humberto was the perfect face. And I tell this story all the time because it actually impressed me. I watched Humberto the first time I ever even heard of Humberto. You know, he's on 205 forever, you know.
Right.
he had a match, and I want to say it was against Cedric. It was either against Cedric or Buddy Murphy. I can't remember. It was one of those two. I can't exactly remember. But I went to a show in Birmingham, Alabama, and I love to talk about this just because if you think about it, if you've ever been to the South,
Right.
let's be real. We're in Birmingham, Alabama. Alberto is Latino. No one's ever heard of him, and he's in front of a Southern crowd.
Right.
Now, everybody knows who the hell Buddy Murphy is and who Cedric is, or whichever one it was. I can't remember which one it was. But I remember the crowd went flat when Alberto music hit.
Right.
It was really, really flat. That kid went over that crowd within 15 minutes. He put on.
It had to be against Buddy Murphy.
It probably was against Buddy Murphy, but I remember he put on such a good show because when he come out, and I was like, "Who is this?" And I was like, "Oh man, this crowd's about to eat him alive." No one knows who the hell he is. But after his match, they were cheering him by the end of the match, and he got a
and it wasn't very it wasn't very long. They moved him up to Raw, and they gave him some momentum in the beginning, if I remember correctly.
I don't know exactly who this is because it says Facebook user, but he said he had a dark match like that here too. That's when I actually started believing in that kid. I was like, WWE, you don't realize it, but this is one of the things they do all the time. You got a kid here who come out, no one knew who he was, and he went out here and he won over the crowd. How do you not push him in some kind of way? Maybe not world champion,
Right.
Slow it back a little bit, but like, how do you not put him in a tag team where he's a tag team champion? How do you not give him an intercontinental push or something to get him the rest of the way out there?
Yeah, I was taken aback by Humberto the first time I saw him.
It was Matt, Mr. Matt. That was Mr. Matt that said that.
Oh, he tried to be sneaky.
That's damn Facebook, man. It does that shit all the time. These same guys that watches the same shows, they shouldn't have to always go in there and re-register, but
they did, Matt. They pushed him in the U.S. belt picture recently,
but then they fired him.
No, he's still there
because they brought him back. But they did fire him
with Angel Garza. Now, which they're cousins in real life. That team has a chance on SmackDown.
You got me thinking of who is the best father-son combo in history. They didn't have to have an angle together, but a combo that are almost equal. Well,
Ivan and Scott Putski.
You want to see me get some real heat?
Mm-hmm.
Goldust was better than his daddy.
In the ring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dustin's better than Dusty, in my opinion. That's my opinion. My opinion on when it comes to actual wrestling matches and putting together a wrestling match. I can go back probably now and watch some old Goldust footage, and it keep me entertained. I can't watch all of old Dusty's matches and stay.
No, but I can always watch a Dusty promo. I'll say that.
Right, he's a talker. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's a talker. But when it comes to actual charisma and captivating and storytelling inside of a ring, man, Dustin is fucking good, man. He's very underrated in a way. Very, very underrated. If you go sit there and tell me that anyone else would have got fucking Goldust over,
right.
I mean, come on, man.
He didn't
Goldust?
quite understand what he was getting himself into when he accepted that character.
Yes, Goldust in the 90s. In the 90s. Think about it,
Yeah.
in the 90s. Like, how the fuck?
And the thing is, I think he could have took that to the moon, but some other demons got involved with him at the time, which he since has beaten those demons. But I do think that he could have been even bigger than what he was.
Oh, whoa. We're going to get to her in just a minute.
Yeah, I got all sorts of things to say about her.
Anyway, let's go ahead and move this on. Big E does get the win over Drew McIntyre. Next up, the WWE SmackDown Women's title. Becky Lynch defeats Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. I want to get started on how pissed off I am how they've been at burying Bianca there for Becky just because Becky decided to come back. So, Let's talk.
But if you know,
Charlotte
if you
Flair.
notice,
Hold on a minute. Let's talk about Charlotte Flair because I want
Okay.
to talk about Charlotte.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
Lots of news going around the campfire about Charlotte Flair that she is pissing off a lot of people.
Yes.
Some of the stuff I read earlier was, I think basically when it narrows down to it, she's being called out on her bullshit by Becky in the locker room. Becky has pretty much put her foot down about the way Charlotte wants to do things, and Charlotte kind of has this stigma. She's really starting to believe that she's really Charlotte Flair, the
Right.
WWE superstar.
And the locker room supports Becky 100%.
Yes.
But let me throw a wrench in that, though, on one thing. If what I'm reading is true, can you blame Charlotte for wanting to drop the belt to Bianca? I mean, if that's true, I've read that several times.
I just said to my wife here, so that Dustin is amazing and has worked in 5 decades. It is. He's fucking awesome, man. But yeah, in my opinion, Bianca still should be a champion.
Right. And from what I've read, Charlotte wanted to drop the title to her on Monday night. She did not want to do a belt exchange.
Now, is this one of those situations? Here's my question about it. Is this one of those situations where, because we're on the outside and we're looking in, are we automatically assuming that Charlotte might not be in any kind of right here? What if this is like, remember how that Clique was in the 90s?
Right.
Go back and listen to some of them stories. Sean would get literally the whole locker room to support whatever bullshit thing he was talking about.
Right.
Against someone who didn't even do something or said something. They would take whatever happened and completely flip it, and then had the whole locker room behind the wrong people. I mean, that exactly could be what's happening here. We don't know. But from the stories, that's not what's happening. From the stories, correction is that she is shitting on talent. She's looking like people are underneath her. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and I can believe it. I can't believe it, but just
yes.
like I can believe that, I can also believe that she wanted to drop the title to Bianca. I know that sounds crazy, but I can believe both stories.
It don't to me, because you even go back and look at some of the stuff in the past. Shawn Michaels, who was probably easily the biggest egotistic maniac, and that's saying a lot when you shared a ring with Hulk Hogan. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But probably easily the egotistic maniac. Even Shawn wanted people to work with. And even Shawn knew sometimes you had to let someone get over. You wasn't going to be able to work with no one and be booked and make money. And I think even Charlotte has enough wrestling sense to know that, you know. So
the other elephant in the room is they got rid of her boyfriend. They got rid of her dad. And I told people, and they thought I was crazy. They were like, no, Charlotte is Vince's golden girl. I said, I guarantee you she won't sign another contract with him.
Ashley was looking for any reason right now to bounce house and go hang out with her.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, well,
she could be trying to get fired because she's got a deal just waiting for her.
Oh, she does. Well, I mean, and I'm pretty sure it don't add to the fact that not only are your husband, but all the friends that you got in AEW are saying it's so great working over here. Yeah. It's so this over here, and she's over here being told what she can, she can't do, how she can act as a character, what she can and she can't say. So much and so many restrictions that good possibility that she might want to go to AEW. I mean,
I guarantee you she does. I mean, I guarantee you she does. The problem is her boyfriend, her fiance, isn't very happy over there, from what I hear. So.
And she locked in for 4 years and she can't walk. Her dad just got fucked by WWE.
He I think he got screwed.
Well, let's be honest. He had a little bit of a hand in that match.
Yeah. But I'll say she can do a lot to try to get released.
Yeah, I mean, you can get released. I mean, you just have to take the cut on the money. But she's got money. I mean, it's not like she's going to hurt for money. So
no,
her husband has money. She has money. So they should be fine.
Her dad doesn't have any money, but
no, her dad ain't never had no money. He had it for a hot minute. He spent more money than he ever made.
Yeah,
that's why his old broke ass is doing damn windshield commercials. And
well, they even cut those commercials now. I bet you could find a good sponsorship for a helicopter company, though.
Who wouldn't want to go to AEW if you were a wrestler? Forget being a wrestler, just a human being. Who wouldn't want to have a better schedule and a better boss, etc.? I mean, it's kind of hard to argue the facts. It's kind of like WCW days. Who wouldn't want to make more money and work less dates?
Right. Well, AEW is not doing house shows. You know what I mean? So
Right.
you basically, unless they're filming twice, which you're not going to be on Dark if you're Charlotte Flair, probably. So, but sometimes they do Rampage live. Sometimes they do Dynamite and Rampage on the same night. But they're filming Dark from Universal Studios now. So, but you work one day a week, or you travel one day a week. I mean, who wouldn't want that?
But you did have Becky Lynch, who did end up defeating Bianca and Sasha Banks. Maybe
With the
she
rope.
loses.
She grabbed the rope.
It was a good
And that was
match,
the weakest rope grab for leverage I've ever seen in a match.
or it was a decent match for what it was. I guess I feel like
It
sometimes I feel like sometimes the women, when you put them in these triple threats, they're trying to steal the show and they try to do too much. And
Right.
it looks really botchy at times. It's one of those things that they should do less because less is more, because they got 3 people in there. They could do a lot more of the stuff. But it still wasn't bad. Next up, you had the WWE Universal title match between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Roman
The
wins.
star of the show was Paul Heyman.
Of course. Oh my God, of course. Paul is fucking money. The way his eye expressions, his facial expressions,
I thought he was really crying out there. At one point.
well, what do you expect when you work with Botch Banks of Mania over there? I mean, what the hell do you expect to happen?
I'm gonna piss off a lot of people here. I think Sasha Banks is overrated. And I'm
Oh
just
my
gonna say
God.
that
Everybody
right
knows how I feel. Anybody that's ever watched my podcast know that I fucking despise Sasha Banks. There
Yeah.
to me is almost no talent in Sasha Banks. I'm sorry, just not. I don't see it. I do not see how she is a WWE superstar. I just don't.
No.
No, nothing she does is believable. Her storytelling to me is not believable. The only time she has had good matches, and she has had a few, the only time she's had good matches is because she had a good counterpart. She
Get
cannot,
Bailey.
yeah, she cannot carry a fucking match to save her life. She is boring as fuck. Everything is
We're on
roll.
the same page with that because I mean
Everything is a
normally I
roll up.
say that
Everything is a
comment.
roll up into a fucking bank statement with Sasha Banks. That's how everything ends with her damn matches.
So Paul Heyman, everybody thinks I want to talk about something with this. Yes, he was the star of the show, but what I want to say is everybody's looking at this like because Brock and Roman are playing Paul Heyman. You know what I'm saying? Like Brock's using Paul Heyman to get to Roman. Roman's always treating Paul Heyman now like crap. And the element, everybody's talking about who is he going to side with. But Paul Heyman is the master mad scientist genius, man. What if there's a third party we don't know about yet?
That's what I was gonna say. What if it ain't Brock or Roman? That's just how Paul is.
Yeah. What if he? I mean, this sounds far fetched, so don't quote me on this later. What if Gable Stevenson is the next big thing, and Paul Heyman's just waiting for him? You know what I'm saying?
Oh my Lord. I don't know.
Because he's gonna have to have a beast to beat both of them.
What if it's fucking Steiner Boy from NXT?
Braun Breaker.
I mean, you can hear him saying that too.
I am big on Braun Breaker. The only thing I don't like is that they wouldn't call him Steiner, man. Like that's the only thing I'm mad about. Like, just let him be a Steiner.
Paul is the key to the belt and the end in this reign. Yeah, he'll have something to do with it because it's going to. That's the only way Roman's going to lose it. It's going to have to be in some kind of shenanigans or some kind of 3-way match or some kind of something. If you're smart booking and you don't want to smash him because you don't want to I'm sorry, it took too long to get Roman built to this point because I used to hate fucking Roman Reigns.
He's the coolest thing on TV right now.
Face Roman used to put me to sleepy sleep. I cannot stand him. He was so cheesy, so generic. Everything he did was generic. The moment I seen he was with Paul Heyman, I knew that was the gear shift right there. Finally, they were going to do something with Roman Reigns correctly and put him over as a heel. and he's been entertaining ever since. And he's got
But
better.
at this point, I think he can do it on his own because if you notice, Paul talks less and less and less
Yep.
every week, and Roman's got it down to a science now. I mean, when you can't help but keep focused on the TV when that man's talking now.
Yep.
But
Oh,
to
the
me,
whole
the
fucking
only way to have-
Roman versus Cena thing, the missionary, the same
yeah.
thing. I was like, kid's got it now. He's got it all now. He's got the total package. He's starting to get where he can talk. He's got the look. He's got everything. So,
But my only hope is that when they take the belt off of him, that they have Paul Heyman, like they don't have him turn face again, like Roman. Like I don't know how we go back to Roman as a face.
I know when
So-
Steiner comes to the big show, they're going to drop Braun, and he'll just be called Breaker. Yep.
The Rock, I saw that comment about The Rock. From what I understand, it's not even happening at the next Mania. It's the Mania after. And if they do it, from what I understand, it's going to be a tag match. They're not going to put that belt on Rock. He doesn't have the time to do it.
I can tell you right now, I'm not interested in seeing Roman versus The Rock. Just not. I don't care nothing about it. It's not enough. It's not enough for me to. I'm not biting.
I'd rather see The Rock run for president than fight Roman Reigns, to tell you the truth. That's what I'm saying, Matt. Eventually, Roman screws Paul. Yes, I can see it coming. I thought it was going to happen several times.
The Rock is definitely running for president.
No, he is. Like he's done research on it. And do you think it's a coincidence that his Young Rock show was about him running for president?
Yeah, I know. I
that
can't wait
was
for the
to
next
gauge
season.
how
That shit,
popular
shit's
that would be.
awesome. I love that show, man.
I will be willing to bet. I'd almost bet anything that within 12 years that The Rock will run for president and win.
I agree with Matt. I don't want him in the ring either. I just think there's a time when you just have to like accept that it's over. It's over.
And it's
Like, you're
it's
not gonna
hard
get
for
Steve
some
Austin.
of us. To,
Yeah, you're not going to get Steve Austin back in the ring either. It's over. Just
yeah.
hang it up, move on. Because you might end up getting him in the ring, and it might end up looking like a crown jewel Triple H Shawn Michael tag match.
Everybody wants these guys back in the ring until they actually pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And then when they pull the trigger and it's not what they want, like The Rock.
They get all hard over the intro. The intro hits and they
Yeah.
walk out to the ring. You're like, oh my god! And then when they actually have to have a fucking match, it's trash.
Yeah.
Oh, don't even get me started about Dolph. Dolph should done be fucking 8-time world champion, man. Fucking they screw him all the time. Dolph Ziggler has put in his time. He has put in his time with the company. Everything, he's put people over. He does any damn thing they ask him to do. Just about. That kid should done had that belt so many damn times. He should be like one of the top 3 of the company right now.
Dolph should have been the modern day Ric Flair.
That or the modern day Shawn Michaels, which they tried to make him that, and it actually kind of ruined him a lot because everybody kept comparing him to Shawn. But I'm just like, well, I mean, what makes him really like Shawn? Because he's blonde and he does super kicks.
Right.
There's
Everybody
a bunch
does
of them. Everybody does super kicks. My God, the Young Bucks have 40 of them a match.
I mean, hell, that they have super kick parties.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you though, nobody does it as good as Shawn did it though.
That is true. I mean, his kicks were the best. So, I have no problem with the match. They did beat the hell out of each other for pretty much. Brock, as we said earlier, Brock looked like he was about to have a freaking heart attack out there. He was beat. He was
You
ready.
can tell he hadn't been in the ring in a while.
Yeah, what was in that damn desert, man? Damn desert's fucking hot.
Yeah.
It's fucking hot as hell over there. As soon as they wrap up, he's
about 5
sweating.
minutes in, Brock looked like he needed a breather.
Yes, Brock was pouring sweat. But they did pace it good, and it still looked good. There wasn't a bunch of like sloppy looking bullshit, So, of course, the Usos get involved.
Yeah, well, look how far we've come because I started thinking about this while I was watching the match. When Brock finally did get a few of the suplexes in, look how far we've come from that WrestleMania match where Seth Rollins cashed in, but it was Roman Reigns versus Brock, and Brock was just doing that to Roman, and he was laughing at him. Everything he did, he laughed at him. And it was like now they've kind of flipped roles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Brock's definitely the face in this.
Yeah.
Of course, we've seen the part where You know, they're both laid out. They're both beat down. And Heyman, you see Heyman over selling it like a motherfucker that he's confused. He don't know what to do. And he's stuck between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. And he just kind of throws the belt in there and slaps the man and says, there, you know what to do with it. And he ain't exactly directly talking to either one of them. And
Right.
of course, they fight over the belt, and Usos get involved, and Roman ends up with it and takes his ass out.
And did you see how scared Paul looked holding the belt, walking back to the locker room there? Yes, my tribal chief.
Yes, my tribal chief.
I have been with your family for 40 years, and I'm like, no, you haven't.
WWE has.
Right.
You have not. That's WWE's golden ticket. They've bought into that Samoa family a long time ago. And they ain't let
Right.
go.
And it's really paid dividends here recently. Really.
Yeah.
So, do you know his family wanted him to quit in that WrestleMania match where Seth cashed in. They told him they would quit, and he didn't. And now
You would have to
the
be
biggest
crazy.
thing. So.
Yeah. Even when you was the most boringest, stale superstar out there, they continue to invest millions of dollars in your ass and millions of dollars into advertising. I mean, why the hell would you quit? For what reason? To go work the indies? Because at the time, there was no AEW when that happened.
Right.
Go work MLW or some shit. You're Roman Reigns.
Ring of Honor?
Ring of Honor?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Impact couldn't even pay you. Impact at the time probably couldn't afford to sit down and talk to you for 2 hours about a contract at that point, during that time. And yeah, it probably wouldn't be smart to listen to his broke ass family. Yeah. All them uncles and shit are broke as hell.
Well, yeah, the Rock helps take care of them. I'm sure Roman does.
Yeah.
Now. I mean, they're not kidding about they need to do this for their family.
Right. You do this for the family. Well, we broke. We spent all our money from the 80 on cocaine and hookers.
You saw where the Usos' little brother is in NXT now, but they had to change his name too. Heaven forbid.
Oh, God. They're always changing names, man. That's like one of the worst things they do. It's so stupid.
It's like, we're not dumb. We have the internet. We know they're related. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's going to pretty much wrap up Crown Jewel. I don't know what we're going to do for next week, but we'll figure it out. We might, you know what? We might not actually do something present. We might actually do something a little older.
We can delve into the past.
Yeah, we might dig back into the 90s or something and dig out something. Hold on, I'll let you know by the end of the day, Mr. Haywood, what we're going to review on or something. I'll go dig up something.
Well, I mean, maybe we should look into some old Dusty footage, because apparently we need to do a comparison of Dusty and Dustin.
Dusty versus Dustin. Yeah. Oh Lordy, whew. We might have to do that. Do not forget, guys. We also this is a total new thing, as I said before. The Rewind podcast. This is not all we have. Also, the Hangout. I'm going to do a little advertising here on the Hangout page. We're actually this Thursday. Me and Mr. Haywood and Mr. Chris Champion, or Patrick Shane, whichever one you want to call him. Us three are going to sit down. It will only be ran on the YouTube page and on the Hangout page. If you're not a member, hit me up. I can add you over there. We will be running Thursday, The Karate Kid, on the Rewind Cinema version of this show, where we're going to do Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3 for the next few weeks. Or for the next, I think we're at 60 something days now.
We're not going to do the fourth Karate Kid with Swan. Isn't that her name? Which actress was that? The girl?
Yeah, we can. I always thought that one was really lame.
Canon. They made it canon in Cobra Kai.
Well, we could do 4 too if you want to, but we're going to cover all 4 of those movies. And while we're covering those 4 in the next 60 something days, waiting on Cobra Kai to come back around for season 4, we're actually going to cover them and some of the Cobra Kai as we go along the ways. Also, November is Mafia month, all month long in the Hangout. We're actually going to go over Mafia movies. We just got done doing the baddest action movie hero of all time. Bruce Lee did win that, the baddest ass of all time. We will be covering Bruce Lee probably next week. We will be bringing on Mr. Harry himself. He was a huge Bruce Lee fan, and he is going to pick out some of the topics for us to talk about Bruce Lee. But all month long will be Mafia Month, and we're going to do a tournament also for the baddest mobster of all time, and we're going to do a vote on that. And whoever wins that, we're going to sit down and we're going to go over some of their movies, whether it be Joe Pesci or whoever it may be. That ends up Robert De Niro, whoever may end up winning it for the biggest mobster of all time. That's kind of what we're doing over in the Hangout page. Also, we also got a version that I'm going to end up bringing pretty soon. It's the music version of this. I'm still looking for a band and a song. You can go over to the Hangout page over there and put it on the post that I had over there. I'm letting the fans kind of pick some of that stuff. I'm also going to do a thing where I let them pick a couple of movies, and they're probably going to I'm probably going to make a post for the mobster thing and let everybody put their favorite mobster in there and make sure I didn't overlook anyone or that kind of thing, and then put the whole tournament thing together.
Right. Well, I just got to throw a name in the hat. Make sure you get the guy from Peaky Blinders, man. I mean, he's such a good mobster of that era,
I remember saying, like I said, I watched the highlights of it or something. I think I watched the episode or something. I don't think I ever watched it. I never really sit down and watched it.
That is must-see TV. I'm telling you right now. You'll talk Irish. You'll have an Irish accent for weeks after you watch it.
Mr. Shelby?
Mr. Shelby, that's it. I told
Shelby.
you I'm horrible with names when I watch stuff, but Mr. Shelby is the name. That's it.
Well, anything you want to add, good sir?
No, I don't have anything I want to add. Just I want people to really stay tuned because we have so much more exciting stuff coming, and I can't wait to delve into Bruce Lee because I know very little about him. So I'm going to have to watch a lot of Bruce Lee.
And I don't know a whole lot about Bruce Lee myself. So this will be pretty interesting because it's most of the time when I do these kind of things, usually I know a lot about the person we're diving into, and I don't have to do a whole lot of research. This maybe Nick's going to tell us some things too that we don't know about Bruce Lee. Also, I mean, I know the myth stories, or some of the other kind of things that we know that's true that he could do and stuff. But
I hear he was kind of a badass. I mean, I hear that, but
that's what they say. Chuck Norris confirmed it. So as we said, we're going to be running these shows, weekly. This will be on next Monday. This podcast will be on next Monday, whatever we decide to cover. We're doing this one in the morning because I always feel like the daytime never has any damn podcast. It's always 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night when everyone's podcast running, or it would be someone like my boy's Piers or something, because he's in Australia or something. That's the only time you get like usually daytime podcasts. So I figured this is something that Facebook needed, especially in our circle of people. So that's going to be all for me. Join us next week. Y'all have a great, great Monday.
And be kind. Don't forget to rewind. Oh, you cut me out.
You're still on.